Welcome to the deep dive. We take sources, pull out the key ideas, and basically give you a shortcut to getting really informed. Today, we're doing something a bit different, but definitely rich. We're diving into poetry, specifically a collection by Ken Anderson called Between the Lines. Here. Now, poetry might sound academic, but trust me, it's often a fast track to some pretty profound insights, emotions, ways of seeing things. We've got 5 poems here that really make you look closer at the world and, at ourselves.
Yeah, and what Anderson does so well here, it's
Thanks
not
for
just
all.
describing things. He grabs these tiny moments, like a leaf on a grave, the taste of salt, fingers brushing, and he somehow amplifies them, makes them reveal these bigger truths about being human. It's not about huge pronouncements. It's the power he finds in the ordinary. And like any really good source material, you read it closely, and layers just start peeling back. The imagery, the personal angle, it pulls you right in.
Totally agree. It's almost like he's teaching us a new way to actually see, to pay attention. So our goal for you today is to really experience how these words can, transport you, make you think, maybe even feel that bitter salt or that brush of a hand he talks about. It's about finding the big ideas in the small things, how Anderson uses senses, nature, these subtle interactions to talk about life, loss, connection, just observing. So let's just jump in. First poem, The Red Oaks of Clarion Hill.
All right, so our journey starts here. The Red Oaks of Clarion Hill. It opens with this quiet, really poignant image. She was buried next to her husband above the white church on Clarion Hill. Sets the scene immediately, doesn't it? Sort of sacred, but earthy too. Then this line, a line of old red oaks quietly points the way. What hits you first about that opening? How does he build that mood so fast?
It's the presence, right? Nature isn't just wallpaper here. It feels like an active participant, almost, sentient. Anderson's use of personification is just incredibly strong. Like when he describes the leaves, giant red leaves glistening in the sun, their weathered hands spread wide, their faces pressed hard by dew, staining the cut gray stones. It turns those trees into these ancient, silent mourners. They're witnesses, marked by time, by sorrow, like the gravestones. Nature itself is holding space for the grief.
Weathered hands and faces pressed hard by dew. Wow, yeah, that really lands, makes the oaks feel ancient watching. And then there's the speaker's own quiet action in the middle of it all, trying not to disturb the mourners above. His feet hurriedly walked past, stepping on every even crack. It's such a small thing, almost superstitious, right? Amidst this huge sorrow. What does that tell us about grief, maybe, or coping?
It's fascinating. It's like a window into this deeply internal coping strategy. Outside, there's a burial happening. Inside, the speaker's doing this private ritual, a tiny bit of control maybe, or superstition, when everything feels out of control. It really speaks to those quiet, almost invisible ways we handle huge pain, especially when we're around others. So it's not just a funeral description, it's digging into how we find order or comfort through these tiny acts when loss feels overwhelming. Anderson shows grief isn't always loud declarations. Often it's those little personal gestures that hold the real weight. This poem, it really reminds you of nature just being there, witnessing, and the private battles happening even during public sorrow.
That idea of a silent coping mechanism in public,
Yeah.
yeah, that really hits home. Do you think he's suggesting that these small, almost hidden rituals are like how we really process grief, more than the obvious stuff?
I think so. Absolutely. It's like the subtext, isn't it? You have
Yeah.
the visible grief, the lilies on her grave, but then there's this internal, almost unseen navigation the speaker's doing. Through that detail, Anderson nudges us to look for those nuances in people, between the lines of how we react, how others react.
Okay, so switching gears completely now. From that solemn hillside, Anderson throws us into something totally different with salt, like whiplash. We go from quiet thought to this intense physical struggle. Speakers waist high in the middle of the river, rod in real tight in hand, feeling the pain of flesh pressed against the ice. Oof. It's such a vivid picture of discomfort, of pushing through. And while this is happening, he sees a blue heron, stone still, dividing the wind, like this detached observer. What's the first hit from that contrast? The human struggle versus this, like indifferent nature.
The contrast is just immediate and, powerful. Here, nature isn't the empathetic witness like the oaks were. It's harsh, unforgiving. That heron, stone still, it represents this kind of ancient patience, efficiency. Totally unlike the speaker's pain, right? It really underscores human vulnerability against nature's, magnificent indifference sometimes. The poem says, "My eyes fall below the hunter's empty perch and see what was lost. A watery shadow twirling." Now, sure, it could just be a fish he missed, but Anderson's clearly using it metaphorically for some deeper, unrecoverable loss.
Right, that's where it turns, isn't it? It's not just about fishing. His feet are sinking deeper, stuck in silt, his thoughts. Soon they too all die along the sandy bank.
Ah, it feels so futile. Is he saying some fights are just unwinnable? Or some losses just mark you no matter what?
It's exactly that sense of, yeah, unwinnable futility. The physical struggle in the freezing water becomes this powerful allegory for, internal battles. That watery shadow. It's not just a fish. It's maybe a hope, a past chance, even a part of himself that slipped away. The sinking silt, thoughts dying. It evokes this profound helplessness, resignation, and the ending, touching his lips, tasting the bitter salt. That's devastatingly potent. It's not just river salt. It's tears, maybe. Unspoken grief. A regret that just hangs there. That's classic Anderson, that raw emotional honesty. No easy outs, just the lingering, painful taste of what's left. This poem is just a masterclass in physical discomfort mirroring deep emotional pain. Leaves you with this gut feeling of irretrievable loss.
Okay, so from that biting cold, that struggle, Anderson then drops us into the warm, hazy glow of late summer. But don't get too comfortable with the nostalgia. There's a little chill under that heat. He nails that feeling, though. August heat is sticky. Your back dribbles down into your shorts. So relatable. We see the men suffer in thin ties. Women bask in the shade of pretty wide-brim hats.
Yeah.
What's the initial vibe here? How does he build this, drowsy summer scene?
He uses such rich sensory detail, doesn't he? Just transports you right there. You can almost feel the sticky heat, hear the old men rock way back, their wives complain about the insufferable evening heat. It's such a perfect snapshot. That slow, lazy pace of late summer days. Kids playing tag, dog tripping on pure innocence, simple stuff. But then, bam, this jarring little whisper of truth. Mama said a man was killed by a bolt of lightning during the storm.
Yeah, that line, Mama said a man was killed, it slices right into that peaceful memory. And then the speaker remembers catching 2 lightning bugs, staying up late, watching them bang against the glass jar. It's this moment of childhood wonder, right? But next to the lightning strike, death. Feels different. Are those trapped lightning bugs kind of echoing the man, like a contained struggle against this huge wild power?
Oh, that's a brilliant connection. Yeah. The lightning bugs, trapped, banging against the glass jar. They become this really poignant symbol, don't they? Fragile life contained. A mini version of the big unpredictable forces out there. They struggle briefly, innocently, just like the man was suddenly struck down, gone. This subtle juxtaposition, it highlights how fragile life is, even when everything feels safe and warm. Anderson uses it to suggest that even in our best childhood memories, that awareness of vulnerability, of things we can't control.
Yeah.
It's always lurking, just under the surface. It reminds us that, yeah, we might count the seconds before thunder, but some things just happen, defy control, leave a mark, like those bugs blinking in the jar.
All right, now we get to the poem that gives the whole collection its name, Between the Lines. This one shifts focus again to this really delicate human connection. Subtle intimacy, shared books. It starts with this almost hesitant moment. We sat trying not to touch hands, sets up this lovely tension, but then a moment did occur when I felt her soft fingers dance across in a rush of conversation about old books and poems. So clearly, their shared love of words is the bridge, right? What does that initial hesitation and then that subtle touch say about how people connect?
It says so much, doesn't it? About unspoken communication, that exquisite tension when intimacy is just starting. Anderson captures that delicate space between desire and, well, politeness, trying not to touch hands, that signals this deep, simmering connection they're both carefully handling. And the conversation topic is key, old books and poems, not just small talk. It shows how sharing those intellectual, artistic passions can create this unique pathway for connection. Builds bonds beyond just, chatting. He's showing that real connection often happens in that negative space, between the words, in the shared understanding.
And the speaker mentions giving her the specific gift, a book of poetry that was pressed in 1858. That feels really significant, personal. And then she reads him a poem about a woman trying to dig up her life while burying her husband. Feels like an echo of Red Oaks, maybe? And then, of course, that key line. And every so often, between the lines, her fingers gently graced mine. Is that the core thing Anderson wants us to get here? That the deepest stuff often happens in those tiny, almost invisible moments?
Absolutely. That line is the heart of it, I think. It's such a beautiful way to show intimacy isn't always spoken out loud. It's felt in those delicate gaps in the subtext. That old rare book isn't just paper. It's a symbol, an offering, a shared vulnerability. And the poem she reads, echoing those themes of grief and digging through life from Red Oaks. It shows how sharing literature lets people connect on these deeper, often unspoken emotional levels, those fingers gracing his.
That's profound communication right there. A testament to how the real connections often live in the pauses, the subtle gestures, the shared understanding that goes beyond the actual words. It really is about finding meaning and connection, and not just in the lines, but between the lines of our lives too.
Okay, so from those intimate moments, Anderson takes us across the ocean. Final poem, Being Earnest. To Paris. In the fall, you can almost feel it, right? The trees along Rue du Limoine desperately hold on to their ruby leaves, resisting winter's embrace. He paints this incredibly rich sensory picture. Long morning walks along the River Seine, young men blowing smoke in corner cafes, old men fishing bent on cobbled banks, afternoons stretched with wine, bread and pungent cheese, kids playing Le Cat and Moose, then into the Louvre, the painted halls, hushed lilies, starry swirls, brown nudes, real immersion in culture, art. What's that immediate feeling you get from all this detail?
It's just this overwhelming sense of, yeah, vivid experience, cultural soaking. Anderson uses almost cinematic detail, paints a Paris that feels real, lived in, buzzing. And the title, Being Earnest, that's a dead giveaway, isn't it? A clear nod to Hemingway. It signals this deliberate, almost writerly way of looking at the world. The speaker isn't just sightseeing. They're adopting this persona of keen, careful observation, like Hemingway. We go from those ruby leaves clinging in a beautiful image of resisting winter to these iconic, everyday Paris scenes. He's absorbing the whole city, the grand art, the daily human rhythms.
And then this careful observation just narrows sharply. From the big picture, the speaker's focus zooms right in to a pretty coquette with short crow-black hair in a cafe, sitting alone patiently. Really watches. Earnestly, I watch her delicate hands press the wrinkles from her dress, and then that very specific, almost voyeuristic detail. My eyes quickly dart down to her shapely leg and the small stocking split, slowly revealing her fair and lovely naked bony knee.
Yeah.
That's a huge shift in focus, right? From a Grana Paris to a split stocking. What does that tell us about being earnest, about observing? Or maybe something deeper?
It's a really fascinating, powerful turn. It suggests that being earnest, well, it isn't just about seeing the big landmarks. It's also about the raw, unfiltered observation of human life. All of it. The speaker's gaze sweeps across Paris, then zooms right into this single compelling human detail. That slow reveal of the stocking split. It's a moment charged with this subtle sensuality, an undeniable humanness, maybe fleeting desire, maybe just appreciating beauty, vulnerability. It's not really a judgment call. It feels more like an honest portrayal of just looking, observing. Anderson suggests that an earnest look at the world means taking in all of the art, the culture, the daily grind. And yeah, the human body, its imperfections, its allure. It's a reminder that beauty, interest, they're often in those overlooked details. A human connection, even just watching someone, is powerful. Maybe the ultimate artwork in the end.
So putting it all together, what have we seen across these 5 poems? From that quiet burial to a busy Paris cafe. Anderson's just got this amazing knack for capturing moments, right? And making them stick. We've seen these recurring things, the vivid imagery that puts you right there, that strong sense of place, how human feelings mix with nature, and how these big ideas just emerge from watching everyday stuff. Whether it's grieving oaks or a glimpse of knee through a split stocking, he pulls our focus to details that connect to something universal. Grief, struggle, connection, just watching.
Right, and the important question is what links these really different scenes? It's the consistent voice, isn't it? This keen, sensitive observer finding beauty, sadness, meaning in the tiny details. Anderson uses poetic tools so well. Personification in red oaks makes nature feel like a character. Symbolism in salt. That taste says everything about loss. Juxtaposition in late summer hits you with life's fragility. Then he explores intimacy through subtext in between the lines and uses that Hemingway-style realism and being earnest to look closely at attention, maybe desire. His poems aren't just descriptions, they're like invitations. To feel, to think, to see the deeper stuff flowing under the surface of everyday life. He shows how just looking closely can unlock these profound truths about being human.
Beautifully put. And the real takeaway for you listening is how this way of looking can, maybe, change how you see things too. Next time you're walking down a street you know well, or just sitting quietly with someone, or even tasting something unexpected, think about how Anderson encourages us to look between the lines of our own lives. What tiny details might you notice that you usually miss? What stories are being told silently, in gestures, or even in how the weather feels? Just take a moment. Really look. You might find your own profound insights waiting right there.